Imagine being just 5 years old and losing both your parents. Suddenly, you're not just a kid anymore. You're the one holding the family together. In a small village, Paul, the vegetable seller, rises above it all. But success? That comes with a price. While he's fighting to protect the family he loves, there's someone in the shadows, jealous and plotting. What happens when kindness gets mistaken for weakness? Paul's about to find out the hard way. This is the story of a young man who risks everything to protect his, and it's more than a fight for survival. It's a battle against betrayal. In a small village called Green Valley lived a young man named Paul. He was just 21, but his life was anything but simple. When Paul was only 5 years old, he lost both his parents. Since then, he took on a huge responsibility, caring for his older sister, who was about to get married, and his younger brother, who was still in school. Every morning, even before the sun rose, Paul woke up early to buy fresh vegetables at the market. He knew the people in his village wanted the freshest, healthiest food. So he worked hard to make sure he always had the best vegetables to sell. Paul sold his vegetables in two ways. During the day, he pushed his cart through the village streets, calling out, "Fresh green vegetables for sale!" Everyone recognized his voice and trusted him because his vegetables were always fresh. At night, he set up a small stall near his home, where people who finished work could buy from him. Even though there were other sellers nearby, everyone preferred Paul's vegetables. His prices were a little higher, but people didn't mind because they knew they were getting the very best. Not everyone was happy with Paul's success. Two other vegetable sellers, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Brown, grew jealous. They sold their vegetables at lower prices. But still, customers chose Paul. They whispered about him, trying to figure out his secret. They even tried copying his friendly way of talking and shouting louder, but nothing worked. People still preferred Paul. Their jealousy started to grow into something darker. One evening, Paul noticed an old woman who always stopped to ask about the vegetables but never bought anything. She lived alone and had no family. Feeling compassion, Paul decided to give her leftover vegetables for free each night. At first, she hesitated, not used to accepting charity. But Paul insisted. Their small daily exchange didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Smith and Mrs. Brown watched with anger. They couldn't stand Paul's kindness and were determined to stop him. One night, as Paul was packing up, Mr. Smith and Mrs. Brown followed him. When he was alone on a quiet road, they confronted him, demanding he leave the village. Paul was scared and helpless, but just when things seemed hopeless, the old woman appeared and shouted for help. Their cries scared the two away, and Paul was saved. Paul knew the old woman had become like family. He invited her to live with him and his siblings. At first, she was unsure, afraid of being a burden. But Paul reassured her, saying they had plenty of space and needed her. She agreed, and when they arrived home, Paul introduced her proudly. His sister and brother welcomed her warmly, and that night, their home felt whole again. With Mrs. Johnson living with them, the house was filled with warmth and happiness. She brought wisdom and calm that helped them all heal. Paul's sister found a caring friend in her, and his brother enjoyed her stories and lessons. Paul no longer felt overwhelmed. Together, they shared laughter, stories, and hope. Paul promised himself to protect this newfound happiness, proof that kindness always finds its way back to us.